prep list and produce prep together. So that's the recommendation. This version that needs to be isolated from everything else.
Hey guys, Mr. Knife Fanatic here. Today I have a little bit of a sharpening stone review for you guys. I've got the 5 and 8 piece sharpening set combos. We're going to go over each item in the list, talk a little bit about it, and then actually sharpen up a knife with it today. So as usual, here's some specs and sharpening performance. First off, we have the Best in 500 grit stone. This is your coarse grit stone. It's going to be used for setting bevels and repair work. This actually cuts closer to a 320 grit stone. It's a very hard stone, requires about a 5-minute soak in a bucket, or maybe a minute or two under running water. The next stone is a Bester 1200, which is actually still in the bucket along with the Soehiro Rika. I'm going to leave them in there till we actually use them, so you'll see them later. But the Bester is actually a very hard stone as well. It's going to clean up the scratches from the 500 and give you a very sharp working edge. The Soehiro Rika is a little bit softer than the other two stones, but it does a great job of polishing the edge to a 5000 grit, and it's actually going to give you maybe a little bit better refinement if you lighten up pressure. It also requires a little bit of a soak as well, and it's, for the money, one of the best polishing stones you can get. Also, we have the 20 times pocket magnifier. This is actually, I believe, like a currency loop or maybe a jeweler's loop. I'll just go ahead and show you real quick. They come with a very bright LED right here. You have a switch. Blind the camera a bit for you. Woo, there we go. And today we'll be sharpening a Richmond laser, but basically you're going to use this to go ahead and inspect your edge to see at what refinement you've got it. It also lets you know your scratch patterns. You can see there, we can get along that edge I have. This knife has been used a lot in a professional setting and home setting actually. It's held up quite well. So. Let's see what else we have here today, guys. Let's turn the light off here. These batteries do last a good while too. I've had a couple of these already. I have one of the 60 time loops and one of the 20 loops. We have a hard felt deburring block. This is going to be used to run your edge through to get the burr off. Once you've reached the burr on one side of the knife and then the other and you're about to move on, take and you draw it through this. It's a great alternative to using a cork, actually better than using a cork I find, and great addition to have. So the 8-piece set will include these 3 other items that have a star on them. The chef knives to go Sharpie. No home should be without one. Actually, the purpose of having this Sharpie, believe it or not, is to help you with sharpening. You simply take the Sharpie and you draw along the entire edge like so, like that, and it leaves a black mark. When you go and sharpen, supposedly you're going to hit, or hopefully you will hit the edge and knock off the black marker, and that way you know you've actually reached the edge. So it's a very good tool to have when you first start sharpening, so it takes a lot of guesswork out of it. There we go, we got the universal stone holder, and actually I've had this for quite a while. This is my personal one. I tried to clean it a little bit, it's a little dirty, but this will hold basically any size stone that they have on the market. As you can see, it's completely adjustable and holds it nice and snug. You have ridged feet here that'll hold it very, very stable. It does not slide very much at all. Very, very sturdy. And the last item that will be on the 8-piece set is the 140 grit diamond plate. I actually don't have the diamond plate that comes with the set today. I have my DMT extra coarse. I believe this is very comparable to what will be available in that set. So here we go, guys. I'm going to go ahead and try to sharpen up a knife for you. As I said before, we have the Richmond laser. This is made of AEBL steel. This is a generation 1, and it will take pretty much any type of edge you like to put on it. Very fine grained stuff. Oh. The Bester, Best in 500 here I have, is a little bit of a thirsty stone. As you can see, I've soaked it. Still has some moisture in the stone. I couldn't find my fancy spray bottle today, so we're going to use just old school glass of water, and it works well. Let's see if we're on camera too. Yes, good height. So let's get to it. First of all, we need to test our edge with one medium so we can tell where our edge is at. And we will use a paper towel for that. So far, I can tell you right now, the knife's already sharp. I'm going to kill the edge just by simply doing this a couple of times. I hate doing that every time. One more. There we go. You can see it is dull. It will not cut that folded paper towel no matter what I do. So here we go, fresh edge from get-go. Now, a lot of people like to ask about what angle do you sharpen at? I like to stay around 15 degrees. It really doesn't matter too much as long as you keep it fairly low and keep your hands very, very stable. You don't want to roll your edge while sharpening. Try to keep your hands, you know, very true, back and forth. Nice, concise movements, precise movements. See here, I start to scrub a little bit. And you can see there's already swarf building up metal removal. I did not lap this stone beforehand with the diamond plate. I'm actually probably not going to use this a whole lot today. This is used for lapping your stones. Simply place it on top and do that until the stone is flat. I'll actually have to do this to the Bester 1200 when I break that out because it did need to be flattened. Sorry I missed that little detail there first. Basically go back and forth, and you can scrub like this with the coarse stone to get the heaviest metal removal possible. Get things moving fast. You see I do combinations of section and then sweeps to blend it together, and that's the way I sharpen every knife. Now if you feel along the edge here, there's actually a burr already forming. I think we missed it about right there. It needs to be a little bit further, but since we are pushing on this side, it's going to curl the metal upward, and you have a burr. Once you have a burr, you know that you've reached the edge. If you don't really want to do so much feeling, you like to know if you're hitting the edge, simply pull your Sharpie out, draw a line along the edge, and sharpen until all the Sharpie is gone. And that way you know for sure it's done. So, over time, you'll develop a very good feel for this. Let's see, just the one spot that I missed a little bit on. But you'll develop a feel for this as you sharpen more. Please don't get discouraged if you're not able to make a lightning edge right away. Believe me, it takes a little practice to get used to this, but all right, I think we are hitting the edge. Yep, the sound, if you notice, the sound started to change as you started to hit the edge. The sound will get a little higher pitched as you hit the edge. But remember, keep that knife low until you've hit it all. So, now that we've reached the burr along the entire edge, simply flip it over and do the exact same thing on this side. And as I said before, this Beston 500 is a very hard stone. See, it's not dishing very much. It's cutting. I really haven't had to do a lot to it, except sharpen on it. So if it starts to clog up on you a little bit, simply add a little splash of water and it'll be good. You can hear the sound has already changed a bit. You can see here, very, very minimal clogging. There's actually plenty abrasive particles still left in there. I really don't need to add water, but I do it anyway because it does help a touch, but you don't have to. So let's see. If you can listen, you can hear that there's a burr on that entire side. So now that I've reached the edge on both sides, let's go ahead and, since the burr is on this side, I tend to just like to flip that burr back by doing an edge trailing stroke like that. Flip it over. If you don't want to do it this way, you can do edge leading, such as this. Go like that. The purpose is to flip the burr back and forth till the burr breaks off eventually. So you can do edge trailing or edge leading. It's whichever you prefer. Let's have a feel here. Actually, I've broken the majority of the burr off already, so this stone is already done. We went from a completely dull knife to a pretty sharp knife without a whole lot of sharpening. Just to show you where the edge is at now, here's the paper towel. Cut right through, and the edge is actually wet, so you can tell it's a very, very sharp knife already. That's also a benefit of AEBL steel, some of the best steel really to make a knife with. So we'll use our deburring block here. Pass it through. Actually, you may want to put that on a nice solid surface as such. Keep your fingers out the way. Give it a few strokes through. Let's see. A little bit smoother, a little quieter. Let's see. And we have an edge at all parts of the knife. I do the Murray-Carter 3-finger test on there. Place 3 fingers to disperse the weight, and if your fingers stick, you've reached the edge. So there we go. Next stone, guys. And here we are, the Bester 1200, very hard stone. It's been soaking for, oh, I don't know, 10, 20 minutes maybe. I'm going to need to actually lap this just a little bit. So we're going to need to clean off my diamond plate a little here. Normally I actually sharpen over my sink more often now. It's a lot more convenient to sharpen on top of your sink. But for video purposes, we're going on my cutting board. You can choose to lap with the diamond plate on top like this, or if you do like, you can put the diamond plate on the bottom and take your stone and lap like this as well. You can see plenty of abrasive release. The stone is actually completely flat. And I think we're ready to go. Oh, look how much mud we got off of that. It's a very hard stone too, so I'm excited to see how this works. Keep disappearing off camera. Alrighty, so set the same angle you had before. And just remember to hold it and do exactly as we did before. A little scrubbing back and forth. As you can see, there's already a lot of metal removal. Wow. And you can see my stone sliding just a touch. All I have to do is tighten down here. The good thing about our universal stone holder is it'll hold anything you put in it. There we go. Just a drop of water. The whole trick is to keep the mud moving. Once the mud sits still, it tends to start drying up. And I do a lot of talking, so. Now, you can feel for a burr on a 1200 grit. It's going to be a lot less apparent to you when you do hit the other side, because 1200 grit is not nearly as aggressive. Oh boy, we're having a little trouble there. It's got a little dirt on a stone. If you ever feel any type of dirt on your stone and maybe a little piece of abrasive, rinse it off, get that off your stone, because it is going to hurt your edge big time. So. Here it's a little louder on this side. So the burr has flipped to this side. So now we know we've hit the edge, flip the knife over, and sharpen the other side. I make it look so easy, right? As long as you hold the proper angle and don't wobble the knife too much, sharpening really will become a lot more joyful for you. Now listen again. No burr, burr. See the difference? So now we know we've hit that side. I know that I could probably refine this edge a little more, so I'm going to go ahead and flip the burr back over. And just kind of go at it a little bit more. I know I kind of maybe raised the angle a touch, and that's why it did get a burr so fast. Let's see. Gonna do one pass on each side here, and then we'll do a zoop zoop to break the burr off. Oh wow, yes indeed. I actually sharpened with this stone a few times with no mud, and I wasn't terribly impressed. I mean, it did an okay job. It removed the scratch pattern from the previous stone, but I didn't really get a very good edge. Now when I left the mud on the stone, I got a much better edge this time. It's a very sharp edge. But we've already gone through this stone here. Let's go ahead and get it out the way. Just want to show you how much metal we removed too, though. It's a very fast cutting stone, actually. Oh, we are 2 for 2. Let's get to the last stone. We have the Soehiro 5K. Now, this stone is a little dirty. I had it soaking in a bucket with a few other stones. Just make sure it's nice and clean. You want to make sure the stone's all clean. Sides have already been chamfered a little bit from previous sharpening. It doesn't really need to be flattened. You do not have to flatten every time you sharpen. It's only when you really start to notice a lot of swarf in the middle of the stone where it starts to dish a little bit. Then you kind of want to lap it after it begins to dish. So, let's show you where the edge is at a 1200 grit edge. Here's another paper towel. Fold it. Wow. Wowee. Wow, wow, wow. That's a lightning rod. You gotta love AEBL steel. No. Anyway. Here we go. You can see already a decent amount of metal removal. This stone is a little bit softer. I have a personal preference when sharpening past 1000 grit. If you'll notice, I'm only kind of doing one section and then one section on each side, or just one pass on each side. The reason being is after you've gotten past 1200 grit, it's really not so good to be so aggressive on making the edge flip on both sides. So a real benefit right now would be to use the Sharpie if you really don't know how to feel properly for the edge. Pull this Sharpie out now, and this is when it's really going to help you. But you can scrub with a polishing stone also. I just tend to not get as good of results, depending. Light sweeping motions too work very well with polishing stones. I can hear a little bit of other grit or maybe paper rolling around under there, but whoo-wee, that is good. Remember, as you're moving up in grit, you always want to reduce pressure too. You want to use the most pressure on the 500 grit. Use moderate pressure. You can still use pretty aggressive pressure on the 1200, but when you get to the 5000, you'd like to reduce pressure, not only to help refinement, but this is also a little bit of a softer stone. I'm not sure if you could actually gouge this one with the tip. I'm not really looking to try right now. Let's see. It's fairly hard. I would say you'd have a little trouble gouging this stone. This is not truly a soft stone. It's still a pretty hard stone, actually. Just a little more soft on the soft side compared to the other two. But ooh, mamma mia, that's a good edge. I think we're done, guys. Actually, if you were sharpening a more wear-resistant steel or something on a lower angle, or maybe something that needed a little more bevel work, this would have taken a lot more time. If I was going for a cosmetically perfect edge, I would take a lot more time and actually just keep going a little bit lower angle to hit up higher on that bevel to get it polished. But I'm just looking to make a working edge basically today. And it's even quieter than 1000 grit was. Let's see, take one more cut here. Nice and quiet. Not exactly sure I have any ingredients out to open the cut, but hopefully this did pretty good for you. So if you look, we'll just keep going actually, just for a quick second. Look how much swarf is actually building up on this stone. If you wanted to polish this knife, you can keep going on one side. Just to show you that you don't have to use the exact technique that I was using. You can keep scrubbing as you were doing on the other two stones. No need to change technique. But you can see that there's a ridiculous amount of metal removed. Very good cut in stone. And actually, it's got a nice bit of polish on it now too. And it's even sharper than it was before. We'll have one more peek at a paper towel, and this is going to be the end of the video, guys. Extremely sharp. So there you go. At this point, you shouldn't feel any roughness along the edge. If you do, simply pull your deburring block out, deburr it a few times, go back to the stone. If this doesn't help, pull out the previous coarser grit stone and work on the coarser stone, then work your way back to this. If that doesn't help, go to chefknivesToGoforums.com, drop me a question, and I'll be happy to help you out. So, guys, thanks for sticking around through this long video. I hope you got a good feel for these stones. Excellent set here. I doubt for the price you're really going to beat it. So, thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned and stay sharp.